In the previous episode, the true belief of the Ahlul Bayt concerning Imamah was discussed. The statements of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu revealed an entirely conflicting portrait to that sketched out by the 12 Shia. The implications of Sayyidina Hassan's abdication also became manifest. We now wish to continue with our investigation and also present the attitudes of the Shias themselves during those eras. Did the Shia also believe in the divine appointment of these 12 infallibles, or does history reveal a completely antithetical version of events? After the demise of Sayyidina Hassan in the 49th year after Hijrah, Sayyidina Husayn still remained loyal to Sayyidina Muawiyah until the last days of the latter, refusing the pleas of the Kufan Shia to rise in revolt against Muawiyah. After the demise of Muawiyah, Husayn refused to pledge allegiance to Yazid in opposition to his hereditary ascendancy. Instead, he insisted on going to Iraq, which led to his martyrdom at Karbala in 61 AH. There is no textual proof of Sayyidina Husayn ever citing divine Imamah as a reason for his revolt. Even in his correspondences with the people of Kufa, there is no mention of this concept. In his description of a rightful leader, Sayyidina Husayn says, "A leader is not other than one who judges by the Qur'an, who establishes justice, who practices the religion of the truth, and puts all his services for the sake of Allah." Divinely appointed being none of its prerequisites. We find further confirmation of this theory being absent at that time in the speech delivered boldly and bravely by Imam Zaynul Abidin in the court of Yazid after the horrible massacre at Karbala. He said, "O people, we have been granted 6 favors and have virtue due to 7. We have been given knowledge, forbearance, tolerance, elegance, bravery, and love in the hearts of people. We have been granted virtue by the Prophet, As-Siddiq, Tayyar, Asadullah, Hassan and Husayn." While the authenticity of this report might be considered dubious, according to the standard of the Ahlul Sunnah, it is widely accepted and often quoted by the Shia in their mourning ceremonies. Yet even in this brave sermon, Imam Zaynul Abidin did not hint to Imamah being the exclusive right of the Ahlul Bayt. He did not say that he is the rightful Imam to whom obedience is compulsory after his father. Imam Zaynul Abidin returned to Medina after this, where he led a life of seclusion, devoting himself to worship. The renowned Shi'i scholar of the 3rd century, Abu Ja'far Muhammad ibn Babwe al-Qummi writes, "He withdrew from people and did not meet anyone, nor allowed anyone to meet him, except his closest companions. He devoted himself to worship of Allah, and only little knowledge has come from him." Imam Zaynul Abidin made no claim of having divine right to rule, nor did he answer the calls of his so-called Shia to lead them during their rebellions against the Umayyad Khulafa. Instead, we find that Imam Zaynul Abidin pledged his allegiance to Yazid after the incident of Harra, as recorded by Kulayni, and exhorted others to remain obedient to their rulers. Ibn Babwe al-Qummi reports, "He exhorted the Shia to succumb to the ruler and obey him, not to separate from him, and to keep away from his wrath. He suspects the rebels to be responsible for the oppression meted out to them from the ruler." The seclusion of Imam Zaynul Abidin left a vacuum, which the Shia soon filled by aligning themselves with other individuals, even if not from the Ahlul Bayt. The Shia first rallied around Sulaiman ibn Surad, who led efforts to avenge the killing of Sayyidina Husayn radiallahu anhu. They call themselves the Tawwabun for having abandoned Sayyidina Husayn in his time of need, ultimately resulting in his murder. Despite the rallying of the Shia to the cause of the Ahlul Bayt, a phenomenal 16,000 rising to the cause, Zaynul Abidin did not answer their call to lead them. Instead, he encouraged them not to rebel against the leaders, as mentioned in the narration of Ibn Babwe. He suspected those drawing swords in their name to be the villains actually responsible for the atrocities against them. Zaynul Abidin's misgivings of their loyalty proved true, and soon their numbers fell to a mere 3,000, with a further 1,000 fleeing on the second day of battle. Sulaiman ibn Surad and his few loyal supporters sacrificed their lives for the Ahlul Bayt, but still Imam Zaynul Abidin refused to lead. At the same time, we find another individual taking the reins of leadership from the Shia. His name, Mukhtar ibn Ubaid al-Thaqafi. Mukhtar, after failing to woo Zaynul Abidin to support his cause, and the Tawabun for that matter as well, claimed the Imamah for Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, the son of Amirul Mu'mineen Ali radiallahu anhu, and named himself his chief deputy. This group became known as the Kaysaniya, and it would be they who first advocated the notion of vertical hereditary rule. Thus we find the Shia of that era claiming Imamah for Muhammad ibn Hanafiya and his progeny, Abu Hashim Abdullah ibn Muhammad, considered to be the successor of his father. In addition to establishing an exclusive line of Imamah in the progeny of Hanafiya, the Kaysaniya also claimed that Muhammad ibn Hanafiya was the awaited Mahdi, making them also the first proponents for the theory of occultation or ghaiba. Nubuwwah writes about this sect in his Firaq al-Shia. They claimed Muhammad ibn Hanafiya is Imam Mahdi, and he was the successor of Imam Ali. No one can oppose him, and no one can rise up against his Imamah, and no one can raise his sword except with his permission. He continues, after the death of Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, a group denied his death, saying, he is the Mahdi. Ali named him as the Mahdi. He did not die and will not die, nor is it possible for that to happen. However, he has gone into occultation, and none know where he is. He will soon return and take control of the world. There is no other Imam from the time of his occultation until his return. These were the followers of Ibn Karab, and they became known as the Karabiyya. Amongst the followers of this splinter group was a man by the name of Hamza ibn Ammara al-Barbari. He later broke away from this sect and claimed that he was a prophet, and that Muhammad ibn Hanafiya was actually Allah incarnate, and Allah is far above that which they ascribe to him. Many of the Shia fell prey to the blasphemous and sacrilegious beliefs of these heterodoxies. The idea of a hidden Mahdi and the theory of occultation was thus invented by the Kaysaniya as early as the 80th year after Hijrah, and then too not in favor of the hidden Imam of the Twelvers. In fact, the theory of 12 divinely appointed Imams was still non-existent. Imam Zaynul Abidin lived for 34 years after the incident of Karbala and passed away in the year 95 AH. 1 year before the Umayyad Khalifa, Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik, came to power. He witnessed the Muslim world clamoring for leadership, the so-called Shia of the Ahlul Bayt rising up to their cause, and then even becoming infected with heretical ideologies. Yet the Honorable Imam did not lead the Ummah through these turbulent times. Nor did he seek to save his Shia from the infectious diseases of incredulity which began to plague Shiism, all of which indicate that he had not been divinely charged with the task, nor did he consider it his responsibility. The absence of leadership forced the Shia to invent various arguments to justify their purpose, and it also allowed their ranks to be infiltrated by deviants, ultimately splintering them into a number of sects, each with beliefs graver than the next. This division and splintering of the Shia was not the last that would occur, but rather the first of many which continue even in the present day. This reveals to us that the doctrine of Imamah held by the Twelver sect is nothing more than a fictitious theory amongst many which were falsely attributed to the Ahlul Bayt, just as the theories of Ghaiba, Raja'a and Mahdiism of the Kaysaniya. Mujan Mumin writes about the Kaysaniya in his book Shia Islam, a Beginner's Guide. This group of the Shia were thus the first to bring into prominence a number of key religious ideas that have played an important role in Shia Islam up to the present day. The contradiction, division and splintering of the Shia reminds me of the verse, وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا.